Hello and welcome to Fit With Us episode 48. How are we, Gary?
Very well, mate. Very well. How are you, man?
Yeah, I was going to say, approaching the big 50, mate. Feeling,
Can you believe it? This is bonkers. Like, we've been doing this for over a year.
mate, I was going to say, been super consistent as well. I think if you do the basic maths on it, 52 weeks in a year, we're at 48. There's only been about 4 or 5 max that we've missed, which is,
Aye, aye, aye. I think I've missed one more than you've missed.
well, that's true, mate. It's actually 47 for Gary, 48.
Aye. Shall we tell everybody why I'm wearing a hat again?
Do I just show everybody why you're
Aye, I get absolutely butchered uh, uh, by a Turkish barber.
I was going to say,
So this is not a flattering angle at all for my forehead, and you can also really see my receding hairline. Jesus, I'm getting old. So the hat's going on, and it's probably going to stay on for 2 weeks.
yeah, I was going to say, it looks like a very over enthusiastic Turkish man with a blade.
He was having a great time.
It
Um,
looks like it. Yeah, the
I was
evidence
sitting in the
supports
chair, gripping onto the sides like I was on a roller coaster.
that.
Let's talk about you, mate. You are doing so by the time this episode comes out on Sunday, you will have done Hyrox. How did you go on? What was your time?
Also, I have to tell you in the future. Well, RIP Shannon, thank you very much for being part of BioFitness. By this point, I've probably got the RIP post, plus I'm looking for a new coach post out. So it was sad to see you go. Thanks for putting in an effort. Mad how you died after the second lap. But yeah, no, mate, I was going to say I'm looking forward to it. I actually genuinely am looking forward to it to an extent. I'm just actually looking more so forward to getting it out of the way. I discovered this year that I've done a lot of things, and I've done a lot of things for the last couple of years that are what other people have wanted to do, in the sense that
Yeah.
not like directly, but more so just the fact that like I've been doing it because it's something that's like the wider coaching group have been doing. I'm like, oh, I'll just do that anyway, where I've actually not done things for myself. So I've actually flipped the switch a wee bit. As soon as this finishes, I'm done with Hyrox, and I'm going to actually make a return back into like strength training and a bit of powerlifting stuff. So the one time I've enjoyed. I'm not going to get sloppily fat this time, but like I am looking forward to getting into that. So I'm actually looking forward to it, just in the sense of getting out of the way.
Yeah, yeah. Does that mean that Ironman 70.3 is off the cards next year then?
No, mate, I'd still like to do that. I was actually thinking about that. I'd like to kind of do both if possible. But again, I think whilst I'm going to put the training and effort into that, and we'll go with that. We'll see how you get on with the baby as well, because
I know, mate.
you might change your mind when you realise. I don't want to say how difficult, but just how time consuming that is on top of what you're doing at the moment.
I know. I'm going to come back to like Iron Man and stuff like that, but just touching on the getting sloppily fat, I am well and truly, it seems, in my powerlifting era at the minute. I weighed in this morning heavier than I did when I came back from Canada. But here's the thing, like right now I'm sitting at 85 kilos, right? When I done my photo shoot, what was I doing to like 66 or something like that?
66, mate. 66 point something, but you're right, yeah.
Fucking bonkers, that's what, 18 kilos?
Good bit.
Since I done my
Insulation for winter, mate.
insulation for winter. So that's 18 kilos in a year. But yes, I don't look the greatest. I don't feel the greatest when I look in the mirror. But when I actually take a step back, I'm moving well, and I'm possibly the strongest I have ever been in my life. So it's not like I'm getting fat and not doing anything with it. I'm actually this isn't telling people to go and just eat what they want and go and lift heavy weights in the gym, but I'm putting it to good use. I'm building a good wee bit of muscle. It's definitely not the route that I want to be going down. I have got lazy when it comes to the nutrition side of things. In fact, I've got very, very loose when it comes to the nutrition side of things. It's got that bad that Jenna seen me the other day. Jenna's my sister. And she's like, "Harry, your face is looking a bit fat." Like, hey, it's time to screw the nut, get the head back in the game. But like I said, my lifts in the gym, man, I fucking feel so strong. I've PB'd in my deadlift, I've PB'd in my bench. I'm slowly creeping back up with my squats as well. I'm just needing to be a wee bit careful on my knees. So, I'm definitely in my powerlifting era at the minute.
Mate, I do you know what's funny, because it's mad what being out of a deficit does. Like, I've more or less been in a deficit since before our wedding, probably 3 months before it. I've been in a subtle deficit and or at very best maintenance, but actually for the last 2 weeks, I've actually just bumped my calories up to just a slight surplus, mate. And genuinely, like, albeit I've not put the aim on strength yet, I'm like, I feel strong. Like, even just recovery from football. Like, when I'm playing football at the moment, we're playing a lot of living asides at the moment, but I'm like, I'm genuinely just that little bit sharper. I'm recovering quicker. Like, I can hold people off a lot better. Whereas I'm like, when I was in that little bit of a deficit, I was finding just fatigue was kicking in a little bit. Albeit I do think deficits can help in terms of energy levels and focus a lot of the time. Strength wise, I was just like, I was getting pushed off the ball by, at times, people I shouldn't be getting pushed off the ball by. And to be fair, that done things to me. So I'm like, I'm back. I'm fucking back.
That done thing worse to you than extra calories.
Yeah, fucking right.
Unintentional extra calories.
I was going to, yeah, I knew it was time to start eating the squares bars again. But I was going to say, just in what you said there about the 18 kilos, like, I think it's fair to say, and sure, that's not an insult to you, that you've not put in 18 kilos of muscle and you've admitted that yourself. Like, you'd be probably looking like the fucking Rock, Dwayne Johnson, if you'd put on 18 kilos of muscle. But with that said, like, when you are in a calorie surplus, it puts you in a very anabolic state. So, like, you will have put on, if providing there's a difference between Gary sitting down. Okay, we'll take it back to Gary, the version of Gary you're talking about in Canada. Gary, who, again, probably wasn't getting a massive amount of movement or steps in. Gary, who had no resistance training in his life whatsoever. Like, the 18 kilos you put on then is very different to the 18 kilos you've put on now. I'm not saying there's not body fat that we put on. Clearly, there probably is, but there's a difference between actually having, like, lending or putting that into strength training, which is actually one of the things that quite topical. Like, a lot of time when I used to do personal training, I would say at this time of year, if you're not in a fat loss phase, then let's utilise the calories and make sure that we just ramp up strength training, because you can utilise that as much as you might put on weight. At least it'll be the weight that we want to put on in long term. It'll serve you, if that makes sense.
100%. 100%. And yeah, comparing myself now to what I was like in Canada, I was a pothead, just lying in the van, you know, having a wee joint and hitting the munchies and just eating like fuck. So I could quite easily have said that was all fat that I would have gained. But now that I've gained 18 kilos since I've done my photo shoot, I had to get to 66 kilos to look diced for my photo shoot. Now, if I was to go into a fat loss phase, if I was to go and do another photo shoot, I probably wouldn't need to go anywhere close to 66 kilo to get diced, because I've built up a good wee bit of muscle along the way. I mean, I'm not talking about I'm going to get to 75 kilo and look diced, but I wouldn't need to go as low as 66 kilo. But yeah, out of that 18 kilos, majority of it is going to be body fat. I'm not going to lie, but like I said, there is some muscle building happening, and that's shown in my lifts in the gym, because I am getting stronger, and it's a nice feeling. But yeah, going back to the Ironman chat as well. I was talking to you about this during the week as well, but yeah, Spartan is coming back to Scotland next week. For anybody that doesn't know, I've done Spartan Beast twice, which is essentially just like, it's like Tough Mudder on steroids. It's a half marathon with at least 30 obstacles that are all the obstacles are focused around you not finishing the course. So the founder of Spartan, Joe DeSena, he made the whole Spartan thing with the goal of breaking you, pretty much. He wants the people to finish to be fucking like elite. Do you know what I mean? So I've done a couple of them, and I want to do the one in Scotland, but it's 3 weeks after baby's due.
You're not doing it. I'm telling you.
You're Rachel.
No, yeah, mate. This is where, when they say that men are logical human beings, mate, this is where that theory fucking out the window. There's not a chance you're doing that. What happens if the baby's like?
Then I'll not do it.
What happens when the baby's here?
Why can I not do it?
Spoken with enthusiasm with somebody that's not got a child. Class. I'm just going to open the curtains, mate. I just realised I've put the light on. I'm going, why am I looking as dark as normal? And I'm like, because the curtains are the open.
Go and get the curtains open.
Open the curtains.
Go and get the curtains open. Remember, I can edit this now. I'm not going to edit it. Let it just keep going. But I've already said to my sister, I'm going to come and sit with Rachel that day, so I can go into Scotland.
Come and sit with Rachel.
I'm phoning her in for honours.
Fuck me, mate. That's brutal. Like,
So we'll see if it happens. But Iron Man, I would love for that to happen. That's a lot later in the year. The wee
We
50.
should put together a wee like fit with us, like put the odds on whether Gary's actually going to get this done or not, because I can see quite a bit of money being made on this one.
Let's do it. 100%. Let's get it up. Let's get it on the Instagrams. Let's get a. I'll figure it out and see if I can put it below this episode on Spotify as well. But yeah, I still have big aspirations, good intentions, but we'll see if it happens or not.
I had aspirations before Finn was born as well, mate.
I'm still trying to sweet talk Rachel. It's a good time. It's a good time.
I was going to say, see when you're, sorry, I'll let you jump back in a sec,
There you
but
go.
just see when you're talking about like putting on the 18 kilos and you were what, 84, 85 at the moment, is that what you said? 86, was it? Something along that line?
85.
85.
I'm 86, call me a fat bastard.
Just adding kilos to you, mate. It's like adding tax. What was I going to say? But yeah, mate, would you not just push it up to the 100, mate? Like, just see what it's like, just embrace it, go proper.
I mean, yeah, I could. Like, it's not right now the way I'm going. It's not out of the question.
I say, winter and Christmas coming, like we're definitely going to hit the 90s. So, like, may as well just push it up.
It's got to the point now where none of my wardrobe fits me because I bought most of my wardrobe when I was cutting for my photo shoot. So now I'm having to go to Gymshark and buy those oversized t-shirts.
Class.
I got an oversized today and it's very oversized. And so if I can fill that, then yes.
That's what's it, mate. I'm not going to lie. Like I was like probably I used to compete in the 93 division at powerlifting, albeit I used to be at the kind of late 80s, and just 93 was the closest division. Did push it up to 100 at one point, and was the closest to having proper tits I've ever had. But I was going to say, because I was so used to being like a large t-shirt would like comfortably fit me, like whereas now that I've lost about 2 stone since that, and I've kept that, I'm now like all the t-shirts I used to like around like 2 or 3 years ago, they're just lying there, and I'm like, I just look like a skinned Anna Bones in them. Like it's fucking body.
They are now your oversized t-shirts.
I know, yeah, mate. I'm literally like fucking. They look like my boyfriend's pajamas on me. Like,
Right, I've got a question for you, mate.
go on.
Do you think Hyrox is just a phase?
Yeah, mate. I think it's gonna be like Tough Mudder in about 5 or 10 years time.
Tough Mudder's still quite popular though.
Yeah, if you're 40 years old on Facebook, yeah, it is, mate. Yeah.
It's funny that you said about Tough Mudder because that is the day before Spartan in exactly the same place.
Are you doing that as well, mate?
I'm absolutely not doing that. No, I can't. The baby will just be born.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'll tell you what. Something like you're Spartan, mate. You know, we do the living.
So do you think it's going to fizzle out in about 5 years-ish? Because it's been, I think Hyrox started about 5 years ago, didn't it? 5, 6 years ago, and now it's just really become popular in the last kind of 2 years.
I'd say it'll do. I think it will do the same as CrossFit to an extent. And you look at the numbers, CrossFit is probably as popular as it's ever been. But in terms of like what we're seeing right now is the exponential growth of it. Like you're seeing everybody doing it. But I think you'll find that the people who actually gravitate towards it, they've given it a go, decide if they like it, they don't like it, whatever. I think there's a lot to be said in it. It's more exciting and more accessible for people than like a half marathon. If you go and do a half marathon, it's just like, oh fuck, running. You then become a runner. And it's like, that's your thing. It's like, oh, I need to run and become this thing, whereas it does open up a lot more avenues that are accessible, and I think with that it's going to have an element of longevity. I think that's the word. Longevity, there, yeah. I knew it was a word, I just wasn't pronouncing it properly, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to have use that word again for me, Gary, please.
Longevity.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely going to have the longevity. I just don't think you'll find that it's going to be as in your face as it is at the moment.
Yeah.
There will be something else that comes along, because I think, like anything, CrossFit, as much as CrossFit gets a hard time, I like the idea of what a lot of CrossFit does right, but nobody ever actually just fucking sat down and went, what's the issues with CrossFit? Gymnastics and Olympic lifting under fatigue. How do we get rid of them? Cool. We'll just literally create a systematic, repeatable. The thing about being a CrossFit athlete, and one of the limitations you'll find with CrossFit is, I know I'm going on a bit of tangent, but you've opened it, is the fact that like it becomes like unpredictable at times, which they capitalise on. But with that, like it's very difficult to like be really, really good at that sport. Whereas with Hyrox, you actually know exactly what you're getting. You can go to an event and Glasgow and then you can go to an event in fucking Miami, and realistically it should be the same event and you can look at trying to improve your time. So yeah, I think that's
100%.
yeah.
Man, if you've seen some of the mad shit that CrossFit are doing now, I love CrossFit. I love watching the CrossFit games. There is an element of skill involved in it. But yeah, doing handstand walks and shit like that just blows my mind. We don't need to be doing that.
I'm not gonna lie, it's just not needed now.
It's fucking stupid, man. But looking at Hyrox as well, like see when you look at it from the outside in, it is essentially just a big circuit
That's
when
a
you
bit
think about it.
yeah.
It's a big circuit. Do you think it's good for people? Do you think it's healthy for people? I didn't mean to start talking about Hyrox here, but fuck
Yeah,
it, let's do it.
topical, mate. And to be fair, Shannon died at Hyrox, so it's in respect to Shannon. We'll have one of those outros going. This episode was dedicated to Shannon. But yeah, no, I think it's healthy. Well, not if you die at it, but like I think for the training outlet, it's got 100%. I think it's easily accessible. Yeah. I think the issue becomes like anything. Like when you look at it at its top level and the type of people who do Hyrox, as in like at the top level, or can use it as a vehicle to be seen. Like it's one of those ones that like it can look very sexy at the top end of it, when you see
Mhm.
people with their tops off and you see all these athletes, and a lot of people can go, oh, I need to look like that, or I need to be like that, or that's what's going to get me in that shape. And I think that's where like anything that has the dangerous properties of that. And I also think it needs to be given respect. In my opinion, the reason I brought up a half marathon, I think, is Hyrox is probably the equivalent to a half marathon, and whilst a half marathon should be accessible for everybody, it's also, if you don't train for a half marathon, you're going to fucking die doing it. So, like, give
Yeah,
it respect; it's needed, really.
aye. I think, yeah, if people want to go for it, then absolutely go for it. See if it's enough to get you up off your ass and moving, by all means, please give it a shot. Me personally, I'll probably never do a Hyrox.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean to say that I'm totally against it. That doesn't mean to say that I disagree with it. That doesn't mean to say that I'm going to tell people not to do it. See, if you want to do a Hyrox, fucking go and do a Hyrox. Just make sure you train for it. On that note, actually, you you didn't train for the last one that you did, right? So what would you say for people that are wanting to get started? What are your tips for people that maybe want to give one a go?
um, I'd say definitely like I was actually going to say two things that are on the opposite ends of the spectrum. It does my fucking head in how people are now calling themselves fucking high rocks coaches and all that, and I'm like, it's a fucking circuit class, mate. Like it's really not that difficult. So on one hand, I'm going, the movements are on purposely simplified. Like you really, whilst this, like there is technicalities to a rower and skier, and like clearly lunges and burpees and all that, it's, I mean, like, it's a fucking, you could sort those issues out in a week. Like, give me 3 PT sessions and I'll sort you out. Like, you don't need like a 12-week paying me 700 quid for the High
Mhm.
Rocks, whatever program. But I think whilst I've said that, it is important you understand what you're getting yourself into, and the fact that, like, unlike a run where your heart rate can stabilize, like when you're doing a high rocks, just about what you said with Spartan, it's designed to kind of fuck you up. Like you're going straight from a run where your heart rate's going really quickly. Like so your heart's essentially doing this really quickly. It's just like small, shallow beats. To then you're going into sled push, which is designed to then up your stroke volume, which is like harder beats.
Mhm.
When you start to do that, it can fuck about with your ability to recover. So, like when I came off, I think it was the sled pulls. Like I was expecting my heart rate just to slow down, but because it was so used to beating fast and hard, I literally was like, I can't fucking catch my breath here. Like so. Get used to working under fatigue would be the big thing. Get used to essentially the running part is going to be the big part. Make sure that as much as I say I didn't train for high rocks, and I didn't like, and the biggest thing that fucked me up in the high rocks is the fact I didn't know the rules, and I was doing extra than everybody else, and that would fuck anybody up on anything. But I still, like, a few weeks before it, I ran a half marathon, so I still had a running ability. Like that's the thing that annoyed me. I was just running extra than everybody, which wasn't great. But like, make sure you can have that cardiovascular base, because essentially it is just it's an 8k run with obstacles in between. Make sure, in my opinion, you can run about 12, 13k without like any issues. And then I would look at, if you're in the gym, like get used to like maybe running a kilometre and then going a kilometre on ski, running a kilometre, going a kilometre on like a row. See how you feel just going from one thing to another and practice that, because that's probably going to be the biggest shock. When you're used to that,
Yeah.
you'll be fine.
The amount of athletes and stuff that have competed in, they've always said like the run is where what makes you. Basically, the run is what's going to kill you. The run is what's going to slow you down, or the run is what's going to make you. So, yeah, get good at running. I mean, I'm giving tips and I've not even done one. And like I said, I don't plan on doing one, but I have done a half marathon. Does that count?
No, it does. And to be fair, I'm going to just throw in there like one of the things I'm dead against is like not dead against, but I think it will impact your ability to be able to coach something if you've not done it. But what I would say is like you have applicable skills from other things, and again, I'm going to go back to it. As much as I've just said, give it respect. It's not that fucking difficult. Like it's fairly simple what you're doing. Like
It's a big circuit.
big
Just
circuit.
the big circuit class that lasts for an hour and a half
Did I,
max.
tell, did I tell you about the Hyrox class that I done?
Oh, come on. No, you didn't.
Fuck me, right? So, where I am, Dundalk, I've got a few like people who are competing in Hyrox, and there's no like actual like Hyrox classes or anything here. It's quite hard if you've never had exposure to pushing a sled or pulling a sled. So, particularly females are like, I don't know if I can push that or whatever. So, I was like, right, cool. I seen there was a local gym who Hyrox affiliated. I was like, I'll go with you to the class because I was a bit nervous. I was like, I'll go with you to the class. It was a Thursday evening a few months ago. Turned up to this Hyrox class, and all of a sudden I look in front of us, and essentially it looked like the studio was set up for box step. And I was like, I don't know. Straight away, I was starting to get vibes. I was like, oh, this doesn't look like Hyrox as such. I was like, there's fucking whatever. And without being disrespectful to people that are coming, they were like, they looked like they could have been doing Zumba on a Thursday night rather than any sort of Hyrox. And I was like, this doesn't seem, there's nothing that's sitting with me right here. We started off with an 8-minute ab burner for the class. And it was literally your typical PT just like trying to go, oh, you need to feel the burn, you need to keep whatever. And I was like, right, this is fucking weird. And then it came into, it was like box steps onto the box. And then there was like, you're just doing, like there was a spin bike involved at one point. It was just a circuit class. And I was like, how, I came away from that going, well, firstly, that was 15 quid. I want my 15 quid back. But then secondly to that, I'm like, if you're turning up at Hyrox and you think that's enough to prepare you, Hyrox, you're in trouble there because that's not a Hyrox.
Do you think they're lying about the Hyrox affiliation?
I actually did want to do that really petty thing where I was going to message Hyrox like and say like this place.
It must have been bad then. Holy shit!
No, mate. I don't message anybody ever. Like I've always had that thing. It's like don't get involved with like spats on the internet. But I was like, I really feel that if people are turning up to that and that's claiming that's going to charge you extra for being a Hyrox class, mate, that's a circuit class. And albeit you are right, Hyrox is a circuit. It's a circuit that has a fucking right stuff there to do and stuff. But I was like, that's nowhere near. There was no running either. I was like, the entire thing where Hyrox is running, I thought at very least you could to get people doing laps around outside. Like you had enough people. I'm like, I've been a PT for fucking long enough. Open up lanes on the outside of this circuit. Get people running around instead of having over congested. One person works, one doesn't. Just have ones and twos. Number twos go out a run for like however long it takes the people on the inside. Switch over. There you go. Hyrox keys 50 quid.
I think you now need to open a gym, slap a Hyrox sticker on it, and you're going to be absolutely loaded.
I was going to say, mate, I had that idea of opening a gym before, and that never worked out well for me. So,
right, let's get away from the Hyrox chat just now, and since we are speaking about gyms, let's talk about for people that don't want to do Hyrox and just want to lift some weights. Let's talk about how to make the most of your time in the gym. Because you've done a video about this. In fact, I think it was this week where you made a reel about it, and you were saying for like time-strapped people who can only train 2-3 times a week, this is the kind of structure that I would follow. So, do you want to talk a wee bit more about that? Maybe we use different methods with our clients. Maybe we use different techniques for our clients. So it would be good to kind of bash heads together and chat about it.
Fucking bash heads with that dodgy haircut you've got. You've got the cap on there, mate.
Mate, mine's a straight head.
Put that away.
I'm going to win the bash in the heads contest if there's any.
Yeah, mate. I was when it comes to go to the gym, I think the biggest limitation for a lot of people is they view things nowadays on Instagram so much to be able to go, oh, I need to do this or I need to do that. I need to train fucking 7 days a week and I need to follow the split of back and biceps. Like the amount of people I still talk to, and I was like, oh, tell us about what you do at the gym at the moment. And it's like, oh, it's back and buys, it's legs, it's.
Aye.
I'm like, it's fucking 2007. They're phoning for their fucking programs back again. What's happening here? But yeah, I think with that, like, whilst I'm sure if you've got 7 days a week to train, then that can be an effective split. But for the majority of people, certainly the people I coach, I think the people you coach as well, time strapped. Like, there's a lot going on, and you want the gym to aid what you're doing rather than take away from it. So, like, for me, it's about making the most of what you can do in the gym. And the real I put up was just the fact that if you have 3 days to train and you're busy, the way I would do it is pretty much an upper body, a lower body, and then a mixed session, because that means you're hitting volume, you're hitting frequency, and it's easy to progress in terms of your training. And there is set rules in terms of how much volume you need to do for minimum effective dosage, but realistically, between 6 and 8 exercises per training session, upper, lower, mixed, that would be my kind of split on that side. Any thoughts on that?
And without getting too technical as well, we don't really need to go into sets and reps, but ideally you do want to be hitting each body part at least twice a week. You can get away with hitting it once a week, and that's like what these people doing the back and buys and shoulders day and stuff do. But if you're very new to weightlifting, you're going to get much more of a response if you hit each muscle group twice per week, and that's what the upper, lower, and then full body split does. For some clients that I do, and I sometimes train like this myself, if I've only got 3 days in the week, I'll actually do 3 full body days rather than an upper, lower, and a full body. Now I'm not saying like one of these is superior to the other, because I still do the upper, lower, full body split as well. It's just different ideas. So for your full body split, a good way to do it that I've found is if we aim to superset, then you're hitting every body part at least twice, sometimes even 3 times a week. So you need to leave at least a day between sessions. Let's say you train Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You do full body 1, full body 2, and full body 3. In each of those sessions, you've got all your movement patterns. So you've got your lower body push, lower body pull, upper body push, upper body pull. Now for upper body, you've got vertical and horizontal, push and pull. And the way I've found works really well, especially for people that are short on time. If you superset and you do a lower body push squat, for example, superset that with an upper body pull. So let's say you do your 8 reps on a squat, and then you go straight into 8 reps on a bent over row or a cable row or a TRX row, something like that. So you're not, when you're doing your rowing exercise, you're allowing your lower body to rest. And then it means you're getting more bang for your buck in a much shorter space at a time as well. And you're not going from legs to legs. And then your second exercise, you're feeling a wee bit gassed. So you're not actually able to get the full benefit and the full effect of that exercise. That makes sense what I'm saying? I know it makes sense to you, but did I put it across to people that maybe doesn't understand what I'm saying a wee bit easy?
Yeah, I think you said it absolutely perfectly. The way I would look at it is if you're just training biceps, like there's nothing to say that there's actually research that supports that when you've just done biceps, go straight to triceps after it, because if you imagine muscle flow biceps and then all of a sudden there's a blood flow biceps, as soon as you switch the emphasis to triceps, your biceps actually have to relax, which means that the blood flow exchange change to your triceps actually just helps them recover a little bit quicker as well. So I think your mate Jeff Nippard, he put out a thing about studies and saying that supersets actually can shave 25 minutes off of most of the average gym sessions. So from a time perspective, like, can very much help.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's absolutely bonkers. And don't get me wrong, you could do a wee arm day and you could superset your bis and tris, which I think is amazing for it if you want to, walk at the gym feeling like you need to walk sideways. I feeling like you need to walk sideways at the door, otherwise you're not going to fit. But yeah, I've found that the superset and a lower body exercise with an upper body exercise 100% gives you more bang for your buck. But if you don't want to do supersetting and you do have a wee bit more time in the gym, then an upper lower full body split could be the way to go as well. There's nothing there's nothing better than doing a full upper body day and you feel absolutely class and your legs are actually feeling good. If you do full body, it can feel a wee bit taxing, especially at the start, just because you're hitting yourself from head to toe. You can be a wee bit achy for a couple of days afterwards. That's why I was saying always leave at least a day in between. So there's loads and loads of different options. However, if you are time strapped, if you only have half an hour is enough time to get a really good stimulus, a really good response in the gym. Don't think you need to come in and be in the gym for an hour minimum every single time, because you absolutely fucking don't. I hate training for any more, and you would know this yourself as well, Kyle, when you trained me. See, as soon as it hits about the 45, 50 minute mark, I start losing interest. I start talking myself out of doing the final exercise or two in my program. So you don't need to be in for an hour plus.
To be fair, I mean, I get that as well. Like, as soon as I get to, for me, it's an hour. Like, it's actually getting as I got older, shorter. Like, I used to spend, like, when I used to work in gyms and stuff, like, you'd spend 2 hours, and a lot of the time it'd be the fact I was doing fucking nothing in between. I was taking 5 minute rest times between sets and chatting to people. But nowadays, I'm like, I just want to get in here and out here. I enjoy probably the first 2 to 3 exercises, and then after that, I'm like, oh fuck, that's 45 minutes gone, and I've still got another 4 exercises to go. So I
Yeah.
go often just superset the rest of them. And I think if you look at the first 2 exercises on your training program, if it's an intelligent training program, there should be compound exercises,
Yeah.
and I would look at being progressive on those. Everything else after that, just keep intensity high. But like, if you're doing, let's say, upper body, and your first 2 exercises are an overhead press and a pull up, well, there's nothing to say that you can. I actually used to superset them. Actually, like if you're at a squat rack with overhead press, put it down, jump on. If it's got obviously pull ups, straight into pull ups, providing you can do pull ups. But like that's neither here nor there. That it's just the fact that those are the 2 exercises I would look at being progressive with. Like if you can see that over time your gym program, say 1 week you're overhead pressing, let's just say it's just the bar, the following week add 1.25s to it, like you're then the following week after that 2.5s, like keep progressing like that. Say you're doing pull-ups and the first week you're getting 3, next week you're getting 4, 5, 6, keep on going with that. Everything else after that, like it's just a case of making sure that you are, whilst it'll be nice to be progressive, just make sure that you're working to a relative intensity and you'll get results. Like,
Aye. Talking about intensity as well, when we say intensity, we don't mean getting a sweat on and having your heart rate going through the roof. When we say intensity, we mean basically what you want to be doing is rating each set out of 10 on a scale of difficulty. And we've touched on this in the podcast before as well, but basically 10 out of 10 is hard as fuck. You couldn't do another single rep. 9 out of 10 would be you feel like you maybe could have got another rep out. There's one left, 1 rep left in the tank. 8 is 2 reps, so on and so forth. You want to be working about, depending on your goal, 7, 8 out of 10. Unless you're powerlifting, unless you're training for a competition, then you might want to be a wee bit higher in the lead up to that, maybe a wee bit lower in the lead up to that. But if you're just getting in to get moving, to progress in the gym, about a 7 and an 8 out of 10 for every single individual set. That's what you need to realise. If you do your set and you rated it a 6 out of 10, you're either not lifting enough reps or you're not lifting enough weight. So look to increase one or both of them.
yeah, I agreed. I've got nothing to add to that, mate. That's
Take note of everything you're doing as well. Always track your workouts, whether that be writing it in a pad, writing it in a book, putting it in an app in your phone. Always take note of what you're lifting the week before, because if you aren't, you're missing out on so much fucking progress. The amount of times that I've seen people come into the gym, what were you lifting last week? Oh, I don't know. So, right. So rather than us getting one warm-up set in and then 3 or 4 working sets, we are now using 3 sets to figure out where your working set should be, and we're only getting 1 working set in. Again, you're missing out on so much progress. You might be wondering why you're not seeing progress in the gym, because you're not tracking your fucking workouts.
agreed. I think that's the most overlooked thing when it comes to training. Like, I know I say it with nutrition, and we say it with nutrition often. It's about fucking tracking things and people refusing to do it, and I'm wondering why they never get results. But fucking training's exactly the same. It's mad what happens when you actually just start taking a note of what you've actually done, because yeah, whilst that you might have lifted fucking, let's say it's a 1-armed row or a single arm row, whilst you might lift 12.5 kilos 1 week, if you're still lifting 12.5 kilos with the same amount of reps 4 weeks later, there's no change whatsoever. Unless you're upping the frequency of doing that, you're doing it 3 times a week. Like there's no there's no change on that. So whilst that might feel heavy for you, I challenge you to go to 15, and I guarantee you probably won't be far off this same amount of reps. Yeah, you might dip a rep. That's fine. See if you dip a rep, get the rep back the following week, and then see if you can add one the following week. And see after you've done that, see the rack. It's mad when you look to the right-hand side if they're in order. 17 and a half's fucking gold out. You might lose a rep again. Guess what? Add the rep next week. Add it next week again. Put them back. Look to your right. Or on the floor in my gym. 20 kilos. Fucking pick them up.
So, yes, I think that's something that we should touch on as well. Like, don't be scared to drop a rep or two if you are increasing the weight. You're not going to be able, or you shouldn't be able to do the exact same amount of reps if you increase the weight, especially a 2.5 kilo increase as well. We've got 2 kilo dumbbells in our gym. They go from like 2 all the way up to 40. So it's quite easy for people to progress. It's a lot easier than jumping up 2.5. Sometimes that 2.5 is a wee bit too much. But yeah, don't be scared to drop the rep. Just try and aim to get it back the next week or the following week.
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of people who get very stuck in their program. And I think a lot of people, for the big part of it, I don't want to take away from the whole, getting to the gym is the most important thing. Don't get me wrong. But like, one of the reasons that a lot of people don't ever fucking stay at the gym, like, look at your gym in January. Look at how many people go in enthusiastic and go, oh, fuck, I'm here and this is going to solve my problems. Whilst you might get the effect for the first week, you get a wee bit of muscular swelling and you're like, oh, fuck, I actually feel all right. See 4 weeks later and you're like, right, well, the changes I've expected to happen haven't happened. Well, one, I'm not going to see massive change in 4 weeks anyway. Let's just set expectations on that. But you know how you'll know? See, if I wanted to go to the gym and make sure I wasn't getting progress, for anybody listening in Ireland, wasn't means wasn't. Wasn't. But see, if I wanted to make sure that I absolutely wasn't getting results, I'd just make sure that I wasn't tracking what I was lifting, because do you know what? One of the things I try to get a hold of as soon as somebody I've got coaching is installing into them, like, you need to like continue to be progressive, because you know what? People in general will lift 12.5 1 week and then they can't remember the next week. So like, oh, was it 10? Oh, try 10. And it's like, oh, 10 actually felt all right this week. And then the following week they're like, oh, I'll maybe go up to 12.5. I'm like, you've done that 3 weeks ago, mate. Like, well, now getting you back. You think you're being progressive and you just go back to the weight you fucking started with in the first place. Like, madness.
Track your fucking workouts. And another thing as well, just touching on it quickly, not every single week are you going to be able to increase your weights or increase your reps. Some weeks you might be having a weaker week, you might be a wee bit more tired. There might be something happening that doesn't allow you to increase your weight or reps, and this is why you want to be rating how difficult each set was out of 10.
Agreed. I think it's always good to take, I know we're now going into more of advanced territory, but fuck it, we're here. I think taking videos yourself isn't the worst idea as well. And if you're ever struggling for that and you don't want to look like a dick in the gym, I've got a protein shaker here. It doesn't need to be a protein shaker, but see if you typical fucking PT with a protein shaker.
There we go. Water bottle.
Water bottle, right? See if you've got a water bottle. There you are. Look at that. Look at that. Stick that on the floor. Look at Gary's screen. If you're on Spotify, take your phone out your pocket. Have a look at Gary.
If not, post it on my Instagram. I'm not going to post it on my Instagram.
He's not going to post it, no. But get your water bottle, as Gary demonstrated there. Stick it on the floor. Phone beside it. Nobody knows you're recording.
There you go. Boom. Balanced. Can you see it?
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, a lot of my content I need to take in the gym, and I still don't like the idea of going in with a fucking tripod and setting up camp. A lot of gyms actually don't let you do that. But with that, I think actually having a bit of video feedback, because you know what, see what you feel in your head. Facts and feelings are two different things. Looking back at a rep, Gary, you've been there, I've been there. Oh. We lift something and it either feels easy and you look back at it and go, that actually looked a lot fucking harder than what it felt, or the opposite in most cases where it felt really hard and then you look back at it and go, Jesus, it looks like I was lifting an empty bar. Like, and the thing is, you probably did have a couple extra reps in your head, but the rate of perceived exertion was a lot higher. It's the same as running. Like, a lot of people who go to run, like, I've had people I coach who run marathons, but after the first kilometre, they're like, I am absolutely fucked. I'm like, that's because your feelings and facts are two different things. You've ran a fucking 28 kilometre last week. It's not like you can't run 5k this week. It feels harder, but that's not actually the true sensation.
Aye.
You want to make sure that what you're lifting, it's going to be harder when you first start out, granted, because you don't actually know what fucking tough is. Like, you don't know what you have in you. But the more data you have, the more, like, solace you'll have in the sense that, like, if you've built your way up to 20 kilos in a single arm row, you know for a fact that even on your weaker day, you're not going to lose fucking 7.5 kilos worth of strength. You're not going to have to drop down to 12.5. Yeah, 1 week you might need to drop down to 17.5, or you might need to chop. Usually it's 20 to 30% off it, depending. How do you know what 20 to 30% is when you don't know what you're fucking lifting in the first place?
Can you tell him, Kyle?
I was going to say that pre-workout's kicked in. I took a
I can tell. I had something. This might be an unpopular opinion, right? But when we tell you to rate the workouts, rate your set, sorry, and the reason we're telling you to go to a 7 or an 8, that's because it's close to failure, right? And we want you to be training close to failure to get the best possible results. Now, I'm going to throw this out there and say, right, see, unless you've hired a coach or you're an experienced lifter, you have no fucking idea what training to failure really is. Because, like you said, Kyle, your rate of perceived exertion and the actual facts are two completely different things. What you feel like is what you feel to be failure is going to be completely different to what actually is failure. And if you really want to train to failure, hire a coach for a day. Hire a coach for a day and get them to put you through your paces and actually tell them, like, I want to see what it's like to train to failure, because I can promise you right now, it's totally different from the failure that you've built up in your own head.
I've just got to say, mate, as I get older as well, I'm not going to lie, my want to train to absolute failure is far, far less than what it was when I was my early 20s, mate. I used to fire bars of all sorts, and I went into squats not knowing if I was getting back up again. That was like, I was like, close your eyes and say a few Hail Marys on the way down and just hope that, like, when you push back up that the bar's going to move. But I have absolutely no hunger for that anymore. Like, I'm sure at a point over the next year, I'm going to have to start tasting that a little bit more. But, like, what Gary's saying there is true. I know what failure is, and right now I know for a fact that more often than not, I'm probably hitting like an 8 out of 10. The research is clear that at the moment it used to be that, like, you needed to work to failure. And if you listen to a lot of camps, it's like you need to work to failure to get muscle growth. That's not true. Like, what you need is frequency, how often you're training, volume, how much you're doing when you're there, and relative intensity. Ideally want you to finish between like 5 reps of failure is the point where you get growth. So realistically, if you're within 5 reps of you not being able to lift it, then you're still going to get muscle growth. It is true, though, the closer you get to failure, the more potential for muscle growth that happens. The reason we say 8 out of 10 rather than 10 out of 10 is because when you go to a 10 out of 10, for most people listening, myself included, it's very difficult to keep, depending on what movement you're doing, the form that is actually working the muscle when you get to a 10 out of 10. Your body's very clever when your muscles start to break down. So let's say it's even a bicep curl. When you start to get to the point where your biceps are starting to fail, your body's going to kick in and go, well, if we can't lift it with our biceps, we're going to lift it with something else. So all of a sudden you start doing you look like my old Uncle Ronnie in the dance floor doing the worm, where it's like fucking start flagging a bit. Like, what's that guy, the car garages that's floating a bit? Like,
the big thingy guy, and he's all over the place.
Yeah, he's done
a few. You call him?
Cheap bicep curls before, but like, it's you start doing that, you're not even working your biceps anymore. But it's the same with, like, that's why you see people who, if you look at the first couple of reps, you look at a squat and it's like, it's perfect, and then you look at the last. This is more experienced lifters, you see this, where it's like it's perfect, but then as you see it starts to get closer to failure, all of a sudden hips start to rise a wee bit earlier, and like your knees are like they're not in it anymore, and you're just like, well, realistically, you've got no quads left at all, mate. That's all just a fucking squat morning. So, like, are we wanting to do? That's a squat morning, but it's like you're not working the muscles that we wanted to in the first place. If anything, if it's muscle building for a lot of people, I'm like, you'd just be better in the leg press because your hips are in a fixed position. You can't fucking change them. So, I don't know why I went on a tangent, started getting starting to out in fucking powerlifters there, but like, the point is, whilst we are saying that working towards failure is good, I think at the moment it's very clear that, like, yes, you can dive into that a little bit, but again, videoing your stuff, making sure that you're clear on what intensity is, picking relevant exercises to you. My argument to you, if you're a beginner, is why would you put a barbell squat on your back full stop? Like, what are you doing?
Aye. There's other exercises you can do, like a leg press, like a goblet squat.
There you go.
Just as long as you're doing some sort of squat variation. But yeah, working close to failure is where we want to be. I I'm the same as you. I know what failure is like, and the desire to want to train to failure is just not there. I know when I'm getting close to it. I know when I'm getting a good, stimulus in the muscle. That's about as far as I would like to go, and I do try and push it to about a 7 or an 8 out of 10. The majority of the time, whether that be deadlifting, squats, bench press, whatever it is, I always try and stay at about a 7 or an 8 out of 10. That is how I know that some of this 18 kilos is muscle. Some,
Glad to hear it, mate.
probably about 5% yet.
I still, mate, 5%, you take it. Like, if you've gained a kilo of muscle, mate, you'll take it.
Come on. Come on.
17 kilos of fucking tax on top of it, but never mind, you've got a kilo.
But at least I'll be nice and cozy this winter.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're just supporting Rachel in her pregnancy by also looking pregnant. I was going to say, just in the terms of the intensity, one of the things that I do quite frequently, and this is a psychological thing that can help, and this is only psychological. If you start conservatively low, like as in like there's no issue. The first couple of weeks of your training, you just need to frequency and volume will make a massive difference to your training, like you do, like to your results. If you're going from no sets a week to 7 sets a week, you're going to see a result. But I would always start almost conservatively, because that means that I can then start easily adding 2.5 to 5 kilos a week, and I can rinse that for the next 6 or 8 weeks, knowing that I can progress without getting to the point where I'm like, I am struggling. It's only when you start to, and to be fair, from a mental perspective, you've got momentum behind you, because you record that, and let's say I can lift fucking 15 kilos over my head, but if I start at 7.5 or 10 week one, I'm like, I know that I've got another couple of weeks of being able to up the reps, up the weight. Before I actually get to the point where I'm like, the time I get to 17, I'm actually so used to the movement pattern, I've actually gained a bit of strength there. 17.5 actually feel quite easy, and then I can go out in the 20s, and then before I know it, I'm like, well, I'm 12 weeks in and I've progressed almost every week. For me, that's where the competitiveness and wanting to push to failure comes in, because I'm like, well, I've progressed every other week, I need to progress this week, and that's where the competitive part of me starts coming out. But I mean, I think it would be similar to other people. You start to see the momentum come in, you know that you've challenged yourself for the last 12 weeks, you can see the progress. You're less likely to want to miss a week as well, because you're like, if I miss a week, am I going to be strong the next week? Am I going to be able to move things? And I think with that, there's a lot to be said in it.
100%, man. That is an absolutely fantastic tip. Should we summarise everything that we spoke about, if we can both remember?
I'll just get ChatGPT to do it and put it in the notes, mate.
ChatGPT, I just get the AI to summarise everything we spoke about. So yes, tips on maybe beginners or people that want to make the most of their time in the gym. If you are time strapped and you only have 3 days a week to train, you've got 2 choices. You can go full body, full body, or you could go upper, lower, full body, as long as you're hitting every muscle group at least twice per week.
Great. I think working to relative intensity, so making sure that ultimately you're within the sweet spot's about 8 out of 10, or making sure that you've got 2 reps left in the tank. If you work towards that, then like job's a good one.
100%. Again, you don't need to go to failure, but it would be good for you to maybe, I don't mean this for complete beginners, but if you're a wee bit more experienced in the gym, an intermediate, shall we say, and you do want to experience what complete failure feels like, then yeah, maybe hire a coach just to get you through that, because I can promise you just now, if you're doing it on your own, chances of you getting there, probably slim to none. But it's just to experience what complete failure feels like, and then it gives you a good idea of what an 8 out of 10 actually does feel like, not what you kind of perceive it to feel like.
Yeah. I'm going to add one in that we didn't talk about, and I'm just going to do it briefly. Time constraints, a lot of people can overcomplicate it by putting in like barbell work. I love it, but at the same time, like if you do have time constraints, it's a lot easier a lot of time to just go to a machine or to pick up dumbbells, because loading, most gyms fucking finding clips, full stop, let alone actually those fucking stupid clips that actually are probably more expensive than the easy ones to put on that you fucking squeeze and they don't actually nothing, mate. There's nothing worse than being able to deadlift like 200 kilos, but you can't actually put the fucking clip on the side. Like,
and some of the gyms that I've been to as well, the clips have actually loosened, so they don't even clamp on.
We'll do it, and
They just slide on and slide off. Fucking pointless. Yes, that's another very good point as well. Dumbbells are, if you're you've got time constraints, dumbbells are going to be your best friend in the gym, 100%. A dumbbell, a bench and a set of dumbbells, and you could go to town on a full body workout.
Yeah, and then superset and superset. Yeah, ideally upper lower, or you can do like again if it's biceps, triceps, like just try and pick two opposing muscle groups can make your gym sessions both more effective, quicker, and actually there's a little bit of research to say you might actually get a bit more gains in there as well, bro.
100% gains, bro. I think that we covered everything.
Cool.
Did I forget anything?
No, mate, just quick because we've not talked enough shite yet. But just a quick one at the end there. Did you see?
Yes.
You just when you said about or I mentioned AI, mate. Did you see the thing about David? Is it David Cook, the referee?
Oh, I've seen that. Is that like a deep fake? Is it supposed to be a deep fake?
Well, mate, when I first seen it, I was like, surely that can't be real. Have you seen the video?
No, I've seen a tiny wee clip of it, but I've not actually seen the full video. But apparently it was like slating Liverpool or something like that.
Right, so for anybody listening, there's a referee, Premier League referee, top level, English Premier League, who has been seen in a video. It looks like it's after night out. It doesn't tell you what time period it's in, but it does sound like lockdown because he is making a joke about social distancing and talking about masks and stuff. But it very much looks like the guy, his eyeballs are fucking that wide. But he was asked about like what he thinks of Liverpool, and he went, "Oh, they're shit." And then he was asked, then he's like, "Why do you think that?" And he's like, "Oh, Jurgen Klopp's a German wanker." He said something to us about a decision that I made, and he was very arrogant. So I just tried my best to avoid him speaking to him ever since. But obviously, that's opened up the can of worms of David Cook's decisions against Liverpool the last couple of years. They've put in, like, there's a few dodgy ones. I think it was like in a match where Odegaard handballed it in the Liverpool box and he never gave a penalty for it. And it's bringing into the game to distribution and all that. But with all that said, to be fair, mate, I think it's just because he looks boggled. It does look like it could be AI, but he's came out and said apparently it's not AI, but he just can't remember it, which is a conflicting statement as it is. But then, just to follow up and give you all of it, there was a new video released of him yesterday where he was doing lines of coke on a table, apparently in Euro 2024, like just there.
Excellent.
I thought this straight away. I was like, mad how there's a few videos came out about a referee. I'm like, do you reckon he was getting blackmailed? As in, like, people had that evidence on him and was like, because I mean, think about it. It's happened in Italy fucking all the time. All the referees fucking match fixing. Partly Barcelona, Real Madrid's been at it for years. Surely there's got to be a point, and the amount of money that can be made from it, like, as in, like, you've got somebody that fixes those matches, like, fucking course there is. I mean, definitely somebody been blackmailing him, and we're releasing it if you don't give whatever fucking Aston Villa a penalty or whatever at the weekend. I 100%, my cynical part of me, my scepticism, like, he's been blackmailed. He's fucked.
Do you think so? Do you think deep down he's been blackmailed?
I'd be interested to see what happens. The big thing that they're holding on to in Sky Sports is the fact that I watched it a few times and never actually picked up on this, is the fact that he's mentioned nationality when he's talking about Jurgen Klopp, where he's called him a German wanker. Like, I just thought it was like, oh, he's called him, but he's called him a German wanker. So apparently when you bring race into it and all that, like, I think it was jobs.
Yeah, it can be seen as racism, eh?
Yeah, I was going to say that I'm not even going to get into that in this podcast, but apparently he's fucked it. Yeah, madness though.
Massively fucked it. I mean, the fact that he's come out and said that it's not AI, but he can't remember it is mind blowing to me. That is absolutely bonkers to me. But I have seen some deep fake AIs, and it's crazy, mate. It's crazy the world that we live in now. Like, you can get anyone saying anything about anything, and it's AI, and it looks incredibly realistic. I mean, it's not to the point now where you're completely convinced that it's realistic, because there is maybe the lip syncing is out of time a wee bit, but give it another year or two and it's going to be hard to tell, mate, what's real and what's not.
It's in a lot of ways, mate. I think we're going to get to the point where, like, movies don't need actors anymore. Like, there's nothing to say that you get a version of fucking Tom Cruise that's there in 200 years' time. It's not actually Tom Cruise, but he's still climbing the Burj Khalifa. Like, there's
wee tiny Tom Cruise for Family Guy.
Fuck, you might even see Rangers win the league, but like,
well, I mean, if the match fixing with Celtic keeps going the way it is, then we're definitely going to win the league anytime soon.
we get brother, what's his name, John Beaton on, see what happens.
Brother Beaton.
just before we go, because we're descending into chat that we're not going to bring up, but I was going to say, the time this goes out, Tyson will have versed Paul on Saturday night, providing it doesn't get called off. You watching it?
I hopefully will, mate. Aye, it's on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah, mate. The one thing for me is that, like, I googled it, and it's like the program starts at 1 o'clock in the morning, but I don't think they're due to fight till 4 in the morning, and I'm like, fuck, that's grim, especially when Finn's a bit, like, I'll probably up at a similar time, but I'm like, I'm definitely probably just going to go to my bed. I'm going to set an alarm for it and see, like, hopefully get up and watch it. I'll probably not even leave my bed, mate. I'll just get an iPad and see what happens.
Aye. Well, I'm working at 8 on Saturday morning in the gym, so I'll maybe just get home from the gym Friday night, straight to my bed, get up and watch it, and then that's me up for the day.
Is it Friday night or Saturday night?
Friday night into Saturday morning.
Is it? I thought it was fucking Saturday and Sunday.
I could be wrong, mate. I don't know. It's the 16th. Today's the 14th, so Saturday morning. I don't know. We're going to need to fact check this. We can do this off the podcast. But yes, who's won? Who's you think's winning?
Find it hard. I reckon if Tyson doesn't win, it's a fix. Like, you can't have... I watched Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. 4 years ago, and I know there's another 4 years at the age of fucking 54 to 58. There'll be a big difference. But even against Roy Jones Jr. 4 years ago, Tyson still looks sharp. He's definitely on TRT, like, which brings, like, when most people think about a 60-year-old, they're thinking about a 60-year-old at 60. I mean, this guy's on TRT. His testosterone levels are probably that of a fucking 20-year-old. Like, he can move. I think if it's in the first 3 or 4 rounds, Tyson wins. If it goes longer than that, then it's possibly you'll get fatigued and there's a chance. But I reckon it's more fixed if that happens.
Yeah, it's going to be like the Mayweather-McGregor carry on, and it'll go the full distance and whatnot. It's just to make money.
I'm interested from a spectacle point of view to see how it goes. The way I would have respect for it is if Tyson just goes in, hits him with 2 punches, he fucking knocks him out, and I'm like, cool, all right, it's not fixed. There you are, have that.
That would be glorious. That would be glorious.
Yeah, well, anyway, Gary, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram at gmac_health and fitness. Kyle, where can they find you?
Instagram, Kyle_biofitness1 Instagram.
Excellent. Thank you to Dave and Toby for the tunes. And yes, this episode was dedicated to Shannon.
R.I.P. Shannon.
R.I.P. Shannon. No, listen, mate, enjoy Hyrox. Looking forward to hearing how it goes. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and see you all next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.